Tonight, health officials sounding the alarm as the new strain of the coronavirus already here in the U.S. With Christmas travel in full swing, flights still being allowed into the U.S. from the U.K., where that highly contagious mutant strain has forced a lockdown. President-elect Joe Biden considering mandatory quarantine for U.K. travelers. And the CEO of the company that invented the Pfizer vaccine on whether it will work on the new strain. Dr. Anthony Fauci receiving the vaccine on live TV, his new message, and Health Secretary Alex Azar on how long you may have to wait. President-elect Biden's year-end address, his warning the darkest days of the pandemic are still ahead. And slamming President Trump, saying he failed to protect the U.S. from that suspected Russian cyber attack. The Department of Justice suing Walmart, alleging it helped fuel the opioid crisis. The unarmed black man killed by police, the officer only turning on his body cam after the fact. And what has now happened? And after beating the odds, a miracle baby finally headed home for the holidays.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening, everyone. Public health officials are pleading with Americans to forego holiday travel and get-togethers in order to slow the spread of coronavirus. But adding to the domestic worries that brought a post-Thanksgiving wave of cases, tonight there are heightened concerns about flights coming here from the UK, where a mutated strain of the coronavirus has forced that country into lockdown and raised alarm here and around the world. Miguel Almaguer has details.
Tonight, flight after flight from the UK continued to touch down at JFK. Hundreds of travelers arriving from London, where a highly contagious mutation of the coronavirus is spreading like wildfire. As some 40 countries put a stop to the arrival of similar flights, the president-elect weighed in today.
One of the things I'm waiting to get a response from my COVID team is whether or not we should require testing before they get on an aircraft to fly home, number one. And number two, when they get home, should they quarantine?
New York's governor, who insists all UK travelers be screened and isolated if necessary, says state hospitals need to immediately begin testing for the new viral variant.
This is about time and urgency, and this would be urgent.
The heightened concern comes amid a new deadly surge in COVID cases here at home and a national spike in travel.
It is very important to be home with your family during the holidays.
But there will be no holiday from the heartbreak seen by frontline workers. California on pace to hit a total of 2 million COVID cases as early as tomorrow.
Today, our hospitals continue to be under siege and under immense pressure.
With ICUs already exceeding capacity, frontline workers and twins Michelle and Cindy Recanati were both infected with the virus, but Michelle never recovered.
She always tried her best to make every single person she ever met happy. She was an amazing woman. She was the best mom.
Despite the elevated risk to all, more than 3 million took to the air in just 3 days.
It was a tough decision. For me, I haven't seen my family since last year.
For many Americans, the decisions were not easy, and now doctors hope the consequences are not dire.
Tonight, those who must fly are urged to check COVID testing requirements for the states they're traveling into. Lester?
All right, thank you. The CEO of Pfizer's German partner said today he is confident the vaccine is effective against the new strain that has much of the UK on lockdown. It's encouraging news as one of Britain's top medical advisors warned the new strain is likely already here in the U.S. He spoke to our Richard Engel.
A year into the pandemic, the coronavirus is showing its power as a shapeshifter. But today, the CEO of BioNTech, the inventor of the Pfizer vaccine, said the vaccine could be adjusted for mutations.
In principle, technically, it is possible to make a new vaccine mimicking the new strains within a few weeks.
British virologists estimate the new viral strain is 40 to 50% more contagious. Sir Jeremy Farrar is one of the British government's top medical advisors.
Do you believe this variant is now already all over the world, including in the United States?
I would be surprised if there weren't already, I'm afraid, cases in the United States. And this isn't the only variant. As the pressure on the virus grows with natural infection and vaccinations now, we will see evolution in the virus and it will change.
The United Kingdom is a quarantine island, but at least tonight, hundreds of trucks stranded here will be allowed to cross to mainland Europe if drivers prove a negative COVID result.
Virologists say this mutation is a wake-up call. Dangerous, but treatable. The next one may not be, so people can't let their guard down. Lester?
Richard, thank you. Here in the U.S., Dr. Anthony Fauci and some of the nation's other top health officials came before the cameras today to receive their COVID vaccinations. Here's Tom Costello.
Among the most trusted voices in the pandemic, Dr. Anthony Fauci rolled up his sleeve today, just 2 days before he turns 80.
As a symbol to the rest of the country that I feel extreme confidence in the safety and the efficacy of this vaccine.
Dr. Fauci received the Moderna vaccine produced in collaboration with the NIH.
What we're seeing now is the culmination of years of research which have led to a phenomenon that has truly been unprecedented.
Also receiving their vaccinations, NIH Director Dr. Francis Collins and HHS Secretary Alex Azar. Nationwide, more frontline medical workers and nursing home residents were also lining up. In Clearwater, Florida, ICU nurse Vera Crick.
I had to weigh my risk between getting coronavirus or taking this vaccine, and this is a no-brainer.
With doses rolling out nationwide, more Americans are willing to get vaccinated. A new USA Today Suffolk poll finds 46% will take the vaccine as soon as they can, up from 26% in late October. 32% now say they'll wait for others to go first, while 20% say they won't get vaccinated. Tonight, the HHS Secretary on when the vaccine will be widely available. Mr. Secretary, what is the latest guidance on when the general public will be able to get vaccinated?
We believe that we will have enough vaccine for every American who wants to be vaccinated by the second quarter of next year.
Also tonight, the New York Times and CNBC are reporting that Pfizer and the Trump administration are nearing a deal for another 100 million doses of the Pfizer vaccine in exchange for priority access to raw materials. Lester?
All right, Tom Costello tonight. Thanks. The CDC has said that healthcare workers and nursing home residents should get the vaccine first. But a number of members of Congress are facing some backlash after apparently moving to the front of the line. We get more from Garrett Hake.
Tonight, a growing backlash as rank-and-file lawmakers begin to receive the scarce coronavirus vaccine. Are they cutting the line ahead of frontline workers and the most vulnerable? Iowa Senator Joni Ernst, who in September floated a conspiracy theory that doctors were inflating virus death tolls for money, drew online mockery for tweeting about her vaccination Sunday. She declined to comment to NBC News.
Every one of those vials that is being used for a congressman and senator that has been doing nothing and that hasn't been on the front lines is another vial of vaccine that isn't going to a nurse.
Former CDC Director Tom Frieden agrees.
Residents of nursing homes, staff of nursing homes, and frontline healthcare workers should be at the front of the line.
At 80 years old and second in line for the presidency, few question whether Speaker Nancy Pelosi qualified as essential for continuity of government. So too, 78-year-old Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul arguing on Twitter that younger, healthier members,
that's it,
like Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, vaccinated last week, should be among the last, not first, to get a shot.
I don't want to ask my constituents to take a vaccine that I'm not going to take.
More than 40 members of Congress have tested positive for the virus, increasing the sense of urgency among other members to protect themselves here.
I also took this vaccine, frankly, because some of my colleagues have become super spreaders.
Now, at least 100 lawmakers have received their first vaccine doses. Garrett Hake, NBC News, the Capitol.
President-elect Joe Biden gave a year-end address today with a stark new warning about the pandemic and accusing President Trump of failing to protect the U.S. in that massive suspected Russian cyber attack. Here's Jeff Bennett.
Tonight, President-elect Joe Biden delivering a fresh warning about the coronavirus crisis.
Our darkest days in the battle against COVID are ahead of us, not behind us.
Biden calling the $900 billion in coronavirus relief just passed by Congress a down payment on a bigger bill.
But Congress did its job this week. And I can and I must ask them to do it again next year.
The president-elect calling for more funding to help firefighters, police, and nurses, and to expand COVID testing, plus a third round of stimulus checks to Americans. Biden also blasting President Trump over the suspected Russian hack of U.S. government agencies.
This assault happened on Donald Trump's watch when he wasn't watching. But rest assured that even if he does not take it seriously, I will.
Meantime, President Trump late Tuesday now demanding changes to the coronavirus relief bill and issuing pardons to 15 people, including 2 former associates convicted as part of Robert Mueller's Russia investigation, 4 former Blackwater contractors who were convicted of killing unarmed Iraqi civilians in 2007, and multiple former Republican congressmen, including Duncan Hunter of California, who pleaded guilty to misusing campaign funds. Jeff Bennett, NBC News, the White House.
Walmart has been hit with a lawsuit by the Justice Department alleging the retail giant helped fuel the opioid crisis by filling thousands of invalid prescriptions at its in-store pharmacies. Walmart has disputed the allegations and said the Justice Department's investigation was, quote, tainted by historical ethics violations. There are tensions and questions in Columbus, Ohio, after a black man holding a cell phone was killed by police overnight. The mayor says the officer did not turn on the body cam until after the shooting, but an automatic look-back feature did capture video of the incident. The mayor says the officer has been relieved of duty pending an investigation. Neither the man nor the officer have been identified. More than 3 years after the Trump administration began separating migrant families at the border, an all-out effort is underway to track them down to treat what doctors say is irreversible trauma. Jacob Soboroff with an inside look at a vital mission.
The team inside this California bungalow has a seemingly impossible task.
When you hear people talk about the search for separated families, this is one of the places where that search starts?
Absolutely, yeah. Our job is to find the families that were affected by this policy.
Melissa Sanchez-Tith works with Seneca Family of Agencies, a nonprofit providing mental health care to migrant families reunited after being separated by the Trump administration. That is, if they can find them.
The U.S. government handed over a bunch of data to you all, and that data, is sitting on your computer right now?
Actually, yes.
But much of that data wasn't current, and for some families, the government had no contact information at all. Just one reason, parents of 628 separated kids are still unaccounted for.
Just gonna log on here.
And so you guys are literally going through one by one?
One by one, yes.
Called sponsor number and spoke with someone. It wasn't the correct family.
Correct.
I searched for class member on white pages, didn't find any information.
Correct.
You guys basically are detectives in a way.
Exactly. That's the scope of the job.
Another reason families have remained missing is politics. In 2019, the White House rejected a deal to fund Seneca's work connecting families, which a judge later ordered. Today, Seneca's treating around 250 families. Tith introduced us to a father and son from El Salvador who were separated for over a month in 2018 and are now in therapy for their trauma.
In the 2 years since you got back together with your dad, how have you been feeling?
I was happy, but at the same time, nervous and scared. I still had the feeling a separation could happen again.
What would you say to...
We are not here to curse the darkness. We are here to light a candle.
I'm Chuck Rosenberg. On my podcast, The Oath, I talk with people who served with integrity and honor, men and women who light the way. This week, D.C. Air National Guard F-16 fighter pilot Heather Lucky Penny, a pioneer, one of the first women to fly an F-16. Her story about a mission she was ordered to fly on the morning of 9/11 is absolutely riveting.
Because we did not have any weapons on board, the only way that we would be able to protect our nation's capital once we found the hijacked airliner would be to ram our jets into the airliner. This would be a suicide kamikaze mission.
Join me for Season 4 of The Oath, an MSNBC podcast. Search for The Oath wherever you're listening right now and subscribe. New episodes every Wednesday.
Hey guys, Willie Geist here, reminding you to check out the Sunday Sit Down podcast. On this week's episode, I get together with Oscar-nominated actress Taraji P. Henson to talk about her new series and using her platform to shine a light on mental health. You can listen to our full conversation right now on the Sunday Sit Down podcast. Get it for free wherever you download yours.
Other families who maybe are scared to pick up the phone when Seneca calls.
To really not be scared. I know a lot of us get nervous answering the phone and providing information, but I'm a real-life example that this really helps, and all they want to do is help us.
As families like this one receive treatment, the search for hundreds of others continues. Jacob Soboroff, NBC News, Los Angeles.
In just 60 seconds, what you should do with your money now to help you in 2021. 2020 was tough on a lot of Americans' financial health. With hopefully better times on the way, Jolene Kent shows us how to start the new year off with a strong financial footing in tonight's The Price You Pay.
With more than 20 million people on unemployment, the pandemic has wreaked havoc on the personal finances of so many.
If you have gone through your savings, you're struggling, it's all about getting to an essentials-only budget and really spending intentionally.
Experts advise get back to basics with meal planning and cutting back on TV subscriptions, for example. Renegotiate debt and perhaps pause retirement savings for now.
If you're looking at various kinds of debt, credit card debt, student loan debt, perhaps a mortgage, how do you prioritize what should go first?
Yeah, what you want to do is go with the highest interest rate debt first and pay that down. And that typically is credit card debt.
For the luckier ones, the personal savings rate has spiked to 14%, nearly double pre-pandemic levels. Experts recommend those who can should automatically put away money from each paycheck into savings for at least 6 months of emergency money and invest in companies and causes you care about.
For all of us, but I might say particularly for women, to begin investing some portion out of every paycheck in a diversified investment portfolio that has the opportunity to grow, those things really build up financial security over time.
Setting yourself up for a stronger 2021. Jolene Kent, NBC News.
Up next, with fewer interactions, colder weather, and shorter days, how to cope this winter. As many as 2 in 5 Americans struggle with psychological issues caused by the pandemic, according to the CDC. And with winter here, coping can even be more challenging. Kate Snow with tonight's America Under Pressure.
Say, my mom makes lemon muffins.
Diana Rose Becker appreciates that she still has a job as a speech-language pathologist in Atlanta, but her life right now is not what she planned. Single in a one-bedroom apartment, she's isolated.
How would you define your mental health through all this?
Really anxious. And I think part of that comes from trying to guess what will be next.
Her entire family is in New York.
And it's hard to be the one who's not there.
I hear your voice shaking.
Yeah, that's the hardest part. I'm missing out on all of this, and it doesn't feel like my choice.
The cumulative effect of all that isolation is really going to start showing up in the mental health of folks in this country.
Psychiatrist Brandy Jackson says feeling anxious is understandable. A good diet, exercise, sleep, and hydration will help. She also recommends meditation apps and teletherapy.
If you're on the fence about therapy, if you're saying, well, I might not be bad enough to go and talk to someone, I would urge you to take that leap.
APA.org has a psychologist locator by zip code. So does Psychology Today and Medicare.gov. Lower income Americans can check their state's Medicaid plan. And seeing a licensed clinical social worker like Diana is doing can be more cost-effective help.
And then I did the most ridiculous thing of all, which is get a dog.
Not ridiculous, says Dr. Jackson.
There's actually really good data for pets and how they can help lower our blood pressure and help us with our mood.
She just got a new companion, too. Kate Snow, NBC News.
When we come back, a big Christmas miracle in a very small package. Christmas miracles come in all sizes and shapes. Tonight, one Chicago family is celebrating a tiny wonder that is a huge gift. Rahema Ellis has the story.
Today, after 6 months in a neonatal intensive care unit,
it's a big day.
Jeffrey and Jasmine Aaron are finally leaving the hospital with their baby just in time for Christmas.
Is she a miracle baby?
Oh, yes. And she surprised everyone.
Surprised because Ellie Mae was the smallest baby ever nursed to health at Rush University Medical Center in Chicago.
She's been a fighter through it all, too.
And she had to be. She and her twin sister Savannah were born premature, but Ellie Mae was incredibly tiny, weighing only 13.5 ounces. So little, so frail, she could fit in the palm of your hand.
This little baby challenged modern medicine, didn't she?
There was several times where, they said,
called the parents in, let mom and dad hold. This is going to be the end. And every single time, she pulled through. Every single time.
Savannah, your sissy's coming home with us.
Christmas will now be a holiday that we can forever cherish because of her.
Starting life so small and beating the odds. Rahima Ellis, NBC News.
Sending our best to the Aarons and Ellie Mae. That is Nightly News for this Tuesday. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Hayes. These days I find it helpful to just take a step back from the day-to-day onslaught of news and take a broader look at the issues I haven't had time to cover on my TV show, All In. Everything from the legacy of racism in America to how community and creativity can flourish amidst a pandemic. I do it each week on my podcast, Why Is This Happening? And I'm joined by uniquely qualified guests like Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter Nicole Hannah-Jones.
Progress does not mean justice or equality or that we are right. After 400 years of Black people being in this country, the time for marking incremental progress and patting ourselves on the back for that has been long over.
Author Rebecca Solnit.
How do we take care of each other in the context of not being able to physically be with each other in ordinary ways?
And many others who help me make sense of what's happening in our society and our world. I really enjoy our conversations. I hope you will too. So join me for new episodes every Tuesday. Just search for Why Is This Happening wherever you're listening right now and subscribe.